Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us. You are tapping into Mujeres en el Quinto Elemento or Women in the Fifth Element. This is our very first conversation in English.
And what a great start to be with an amazing artist. Her name is Gretchen Baer, and she's like wonderful. She's a rock and roll star. And check out what she's doing with this beautiful thing. It's called Studio Mariposa. And don't forget to, Yolanda.
Subscribe and hit the little bell just in case you would love to have more of these conversations directly to your mailbox. Okay, so enjoy Gretchen because she's an artist in everything she does.
So, Gretchen, thank you for coming to be with us. Um, is as we can see, is beautiful art behind you, and one of the things that I was like really wanted you to come to have a conversation with us. I know you from years, and I admire and love your work as a so much colors, vibration, and all this. And when I saw in Facebook your project that you're doing with the kids, no Mariposa,
Mhm.
Mariposa studio that you have, and I see all these kids with this like beautiful face and smiling, and this art that has a it's their art but has a lot of like your flavor too, in a way that I see so much you know aliveness. So I said to Yolanda, I would love to bring Gretchen to this program, to have a conversation with her, because you inspire so like the light in the kids. I mean, they have it, the light, but to put it in a paper. And I thought, what a great person to have with us, to bring a little bit of your sparkle into a conversation. So thank you so much,
Thanks for
Gretchen.
having me. Delighted to be here.
Mhm. Yes. So yeah, I mean, maybe Yolanda, you have an idea, but I am very interested about the sparkles that Gretchen is.
Yeah, no, I'm very interested in, of course, the sparkle, of course, the color, of course,
Mhm.
all the climbing that you probably do too, because I saw you on your Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, but I am really much interested first in your upbringing, because I read that your upbringing, your parents probably did, or your family did some kind of miniature boats, right? That put it in bottles.
Yeah, actually, my grandfather. Yeah.
Ah, your grandparents. Okay. So would you tell me a little bit of that? Because I would like if there's a connection between the way you grew up
Yeah,
and who you are right now.
right.
Mhm.
Well, I was born on Martha's Vineyard Island, which is a small island off Massachusetts. And both my parents are artists. My mother is still very actively an artist. My dad passed about a year ago, but he was an amazing artist. So they raised me with a lot of art around the home. And my grandfather also lived with us growing up, and he was an artist too, a miniature ship in the bottle builder when he was one of his jobs in life on Martha's Vineyard. He made a lot of miniatures, a miniature carousel that was a replica of the oldest one in the nation that happens to be on Martha's Vineyard, a working replica. So I was raised that way. My dad was the art teacher in the public school for me and for every kid on the island. And he was a really great art teacher. So I was very lucky to be raised like that with just a lot of possibility. Art supplies always all around. That is, encouragement. And it totally follows into what I'm doing now, which is encouraging kids to be creative as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Hmm. It's like you know, your life was surrounded by colors. You grew up with that, no, and with your parents and all around you, and you have that all for the rest of your life. You always been connected, no, with art. There was never like a time in you that you're like, I mean, it was always very clear, no, that it is your way of being, because that's what I see in you. It's just like, there's not a separation.
Right. Yeah. So, I consider myself very fortunate to be raised like that, and very thankful. And I love that my mom is 87 and all she does is she's beating mannequins, taking mannequins from clothes mannequins
Yeah.
and covering them with little beads, really intricate and really beautiful. And she's been doing them just nonstop. She started when my dad got sick and she just kept on it and she hasn't stopped. And it's like, it's
Wow.
brought her through hard times and
Mm.
illness and COVID and all sorts of things that she went through. But it's inspirational to me to see somebody, well, my mom, take art and just, put all your creativity there and let a lot of the crap in life, the things that don't really matter or don't worry about them, focus on the art and
Mhm.
everything's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because art in a way is healing, not only
Yeah.
for the one who performed the art, but also to the observer, right? To the one who is seeing your painting. I can see your paintings behind you, and I can maybe have an idea of who you are only just because of what you paint. But in art also, that is not so true for the artist, right? The artist has her or his own way of feeling in that moment, that it may not have anything to do with what the observer or listener or viewer had to say about that, because it touches a special part of themselves, right?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you communicate with your audience, I will say?
With my audience, I think just like you said, I paint how I feel and express myself. And other people will see it and they might get something totally different from it, but that's okay because it's, up to the viewer how to perceive it. And I don't like to tell people how to feel or too much about the painting, because in a way I like people to imagine their own things too,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Totally. I remember one time that I was taking this painting class painting class for a long time. I think I told you, Gretchen. It was this community of painters that we were painting explorative painting, no, and there was not a technique at all. It was just,
Yeah.
and you find your own expression, and you find your own also limitation, I mean, belief systems, no, like for example, not my own, but the ones that, like, for example, for a while it was like I was afraid to touch the black. And I was at my beginning of painting. I was afraid to touch the black because it's so intense. And it's like black, the dark. I mean, I have this black, the darkness, da 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 da, to put the black is such a statement. And I was like, so for a while, I realized, like, wow, this black has so much power. I'm going to use it. And then I saw that with the black, I was bringing so much light. It was like, wow, and so yes, sometimes I paint things and they're like super trippy. I mean, usually are very trippy, my paintings, and people are like, what was your emotion or whatever? And I mean, I'm like, I got so many emotions by painting this thing. I cannot tell you exactly what it was, but also the way that I paint is without any kind of agenda. It's just like let's explore, you know.
Yeah.
And that,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, and I see that that's what I see in you in a way. I mean, you're super skilled. You've been painting your whole life, and I can see that. So, I can feel things, but I see your paintings. A lot of them, it's like how I tap in your paintings is like a trip for me. It's like a little bit like it's like this, like a mountain comes here with all this light, all these colors, and it just makes me like, you know. So,
Didn't a long time ago, didn't you come sit on my porch one day and we painted together? Do you
and we
remember
painted, yes, I totally remember. I have the
that?
painting. I feel like a face like that.
And I remember you taught me something that day. We had a bottle of red wine, and I believe you said you had to just drink the entire glass. Didn't you say that?
Oh, yeah, but that is
Get in there.
because of our
Remember?
past. That has to do a lot with our past.
I know that was the old times that they would drink it. I the whole glass.
It was
It
great. It was
only-
like, but what wine aside or whatever, what I liked was that you started the project by saying, like, you kind of have to just let go of all your workaday stuff, and whatever it takes to sort of transition over to another feeling or vibe is where we were going. So you use just knock back a glass of wine and then paint, so that you're somewhere else. I think that was a great trick.
That was a good trick.
And how do you say that to your kids? I mean, the kids in the Mariposa or Studio Mariposa, how do you translate that experience to what they do? In what way do you teach that?
You don't have to teach a kid how to get out of their own way, because they are already there. They constantly live in the space of creativity, where we all have it. But adults tend to kind of build up blocks between them, saying, I can't work with black, or I'm intimidated by the canvas, or, whatever. Kids don't care. They're just like right at it, making art. So I don't have, and maybe show them a thing or two, but beyond that, they teach me.
But tell us more about that studio, how that idea started.
Okay. First of all, just for your viewers or your listeners, let's explain what Studio Mariposa is, so that I can reference that better. So it's a free kids art center that is across the Mexican border, only on the Mexican-American side, or on the other side. So when you cross over the border, go across the port of entry, and in Naco, Sonora, which is right near where I live in Bisbee, we have our studio there. It's a building that's completely painted and murals and colored and glitter, and we've mosaicked a lot of it. I've had artists come in, and so the whole building is an art piece in itself. We offer free art classes to kids. This is our 5th year. We do our free art and music every Tuesday. During the pandemic, so we used to do big art kind of events every Tuesday where kids could come. There'd be different projects going on at some painting inside, weaving over here. We had music lessons or a band playing over here. We worked outside right on the street. We'd have all kinds of different things going on, snacks, music, all kinds of art. So that served about 100 kids a week would come to that. And since the pandemic, we switched over to providing them an art bag that they could take home and work on their art at home. So now every Tuesday they come and they pick up an art bag, they go home and they make their art at home. So that's how we're dealing with that. Our numbers went from about 100 kids a week to about 300 kids a week right now. It's a lot of kids doing a lot of work, and they're busily, and they're creating home studios, these kids are becoming like full-time artists. There's amazing talent there, just incredible. So that's just in a nutshell what Studio Mariposa is. I'll just add that it is, it's all donation, it's all volunteer. I don't get paid, nobody who works there gets paid, and we survive off of individual donations to keep it going. So, all that said, I started the project because I had spent 6 years prior to that painting the Mexican side of the border wall with the kids of Naco, Sonora. So we did a full mile of wall there from start to finish. And the only reason why we finished was because right after our election of Donald Trump, it just so happened they were tearing down that wall to put up another one. So our wall got torn down. It was 6 years worth of work, a mile-long mural. And at that point, I felt like, especially with the messages that the Trump administration was sending to Mexico, with the children on the border and all the bad things that were happening, like the last thing I wanted to do at that time was say, well, the project's over, see ya. So at that point I said, I would do an art center if I could have some kind of a building there. And I just happened to tell that to the right guy, a fellow by the name of Tom Carlson, who's 80 years old and an amazing activist across the border. And he met me the next day and gave me the keys to that building. Said, how about it?
That's so awesome.
Ever since, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? Like, because art in itself could be an act of serving at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get this thing about this bug of activism? When does it start?
I don't think, I think we all have it all the time. I mean, especially in this day and age. And if we can find a way to put it to use rather than just sit in our homes and be frustrated, then, any way we can find is a great way, So I think we're all activists at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree we are activists. However, I feel also that it's so difficult that's to give that step, right? To go to it, right? And I think what you do has a lot to do, like I think a long time ago, maybe it was your wall. I don't know if there's other walls painted like you did in Sonora, I mean in Naco. But I was listening to an interview to this amazing writer that he's half Mexican. Well, he was born in Mexico, and then I don't know exactly his story. He's amazing. He tells stories. And in that interview, talk about how to see life from a different perspective, not to the point that the kids in Mexico, in the Mexican side, were painting the wall. So now that I'm putting it together, I said, well, maybe it was your wall.
It could have been, actually, because I mean, there's plenty of amazing mural artists that paint on both sides of the border wall, or used to anyway. Less now because of the way the type of wall it is, but I think the project that we did, we were called the Border Bedazzlers, and I think it was unique in that it was a kid painted mural that went for a mile, so that makes it unique in that right.
Yeah, because he talked about the kids. He didn't.
Could have been.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. But I think that as far as activism of any kind goes, I mean, I feel like you do one thing because you're inspired to do it, one small thing. And then if that works and maybe you get some positive response, maybe somebody else, the second person says, oh, I want to try that too. And if it builds and it just feels natural and you feel inspired and like you're doing something of value, then you keep going. That's just the way I proceed with everything, you know. It's like, and I'm sure you do too, it's like, if it doesn't work, don't, just forget about it. You know, if it doesn't work and you're just trying too hard, try something else. But if it does work and it just feels good and natural and you're passionate about it, then I say just keep going. So that's kind of where I come from.
When you say that when it works for you with the craft that you're doing, whether it's activism or whatever it is, right? Or you say that it's not working because nobody is kind of like being receptive to it.
Right.
Explain that a little bit more.
Like, you know, some ideas I've tried and, you know, had ideas and I put them out there and people aren't receptive, or there seems to be a lot of roadblocks. If that's the case, I have learned to not go that direction. And if something does make, you know, I feel passionate about it, I want to do it, but then it has some kind of resonance to other people too, and you feel inspired, then I feel like then that's the way you're, you know, you're meant to go, as it were, you know, that to listen to those voices when things, I have to do it all the time with Studio Mariposa. If constantly trying to write the process of where we're going, because maybe something doesn't feel right anymore or something changed or whatever. So you adjust to continue your bigger, you know, loftier ideas. You know what I mean? Like you have big ideas, but that's the little things that you kind of jump, you kind of rock hop from bop, 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 how to get over there, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of like what you're talking about, that is like the process, no? It's a process of like, so from here to there, you had the vision.
Yeah.
And how important is to have community, no? Like to people to bounce your project, your idea. If one says, you know, that happens to us also, Yolanda, right? It's like, it's just one person is like, wow. And it's like some person we connect, that is worth it, you know? It's like, but if you do this work and then it's like, you know, you work really hard and it's like nothing happened. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna give up. Nothing happened for a long time. It's like maybe you just have to change some kind of, you know, maybe it's not the vision, no? Maybe it's like the ways of doing things, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
how
good to
I
know.
see it anyway.
What do you say?
Yeah, that's how I agree that, you
Yeah,
know, it's a process, and to listen to your own intuition and instinct on it. And, you know, if it feels right, keep going.
okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have like so when you got the keys of the place, you're like, okay, then you start filling it with paints, and then you have like all the kids that they were painting before they came back, no? Probably it was like, and you so you paint the Studio Mariposa is right in the border, like, so there's coming people, the kids from Mexico, and there's coming people from United States or from Bisbee or
Well,
Bless.
it is in Naco, Sonora, but it isn't far. So people come to help or join in, or if you're ever around here, you're welcome to come, you know. Just come across the border or right across the border. It's easy to get to. But it is for kids on the Mexican side of the border. Yeah. We don't get that many American kids that come occasionally, but but with a parent, you know.
And another thing that you do that is very cool, that I love, with the kids, that they paint, then also they can sell their paintings. No, that's a pretty cool thing for them.
Yeah, in fact, I just changed this very day. This would be an example of trying to change processes as things go on. Like today, I've been thinking about it. Yeah, we've been selling their art. I've been doing it on Facebook. They get $20 for a piece of art, and I sell it to people on Facebook. which was great. Though I was discovering that as I am a volunteer doing this whole project, that my entire life was taken over by that. I was like spending days every week doing fulfillment for sending art. And just today I said, I can't do this anymore like this. I can just do it a different way. So we all love their art and we want to, keep encouraging them. But instead of doing every week, people can buy art from me. We'll do a few times a year, we'll do an online art show, where people can buy at that time. So in other words, I felt like it was just too much for me. I have my own life too I need to do. So how do you change it enough? I really had to think about that. How do I don't want to disappoint a kid and be like, I'm not going to sell your art anymore.
Yeah.
No, I do. But, how about we just do a few shows a year, just like a normal artist would, and we'll call it that. Yeah.
That's how you learn, no? That's how you learn the process. Like, okay, you know what? This is like too much of my time.
Yeah.
And wow, that's a process. That's a process.
Ever changing.
Yeah. And how are you doing with your art personally, like your own art? How I imagine that you are painting all day long. That's how I see you.
Yeah, I do spend a lot of my time of my own art. Like I said, I got a little distracted with too much kid art sales, so I'm cutting back on that. I love my studio where we are right now, which is at a school called Central School. Other than that, during the pandemic, I've done okay. It's just like I've done some murals, some paintings, and I'm also taking as much time as I like to go hiking. Getting outdoors has been really useful for me too, and nice. So.
And I can see that in your paintings also, right? Like that connection that you have with nature, with colors, right? And also with music. I went to your YouTube channel that I don't think you have been in your YouTube channel for a while. Definitely. I can tell, but it was good in terms of how you integrate color, nature, and music, right? You tend to do that. And then I saw you doing also with the Studio Mariposa. So I'm guessing that you have this part of your communication as an artist has to have some kind of music as well, for what I can see.
Yes. I feel like Christina and I might be on the same page there in that I love to listen to music a lot and get into that zone, and I can't even paint without music. So here in my studio, I've got a nice stereo system, and I just like to really groove with the music in order to paint. At Mariposa, I have a great system there, indoor, outdoor speakers, and the kids have to listen to whatever I want. That is rule number one. I pick the music and we just rock out.
Yeah.
Always. There's never not music playing or live music.
Yeah, that's very cool. Because I was imagining, my son, Sunny, 11 years old, he's now listening to he listen to the music that we listen, but his music is like, oh man, it's like, and then I'm thinking wow, this is I sound like my parents. I am now the parent, in a way.
Right.
But it's good to I got the power, and you put the music, you flow. Yeah, totally.
That's important. For me anyway. Some people need silence. I need musical.
The studio that I used to learn this explorative painting, that it was a lot about, process inside and the turmoil and the blah, blah, blah. it was like we couldn't paint with music, ¿verdad, Yolanda? Yolanda knows. And Yolanda is like, why don't you put some music? It's like, well, because we need to. And with music, it's just such much more freeing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? In
absolutely.
a way, because without music is you and your thoughts, and you can use it as a same practice,
Yeah.
or how do you want to use it, like, and for you, I mean, for what I see, like I want to, yesterday I was looking at your pictures and, I know you, but looking at everything is like, oh, Maria Mia, this is like, this is the rock and roll, like star of glitter everywhere. Music is in you. Music is like, the vibration. I mean, in you, art, music.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
No, I think, going back to, the discussion of drinking the glass of wine before you start painting. However you get there, however you get there into a different state that would allow you to just let your creativity flow without your own, too much of your own self standing in the way. Music is a great way to get there, just by zoning out and listening to some songs that make your mind relax. For me, that's it works every time.
For me too. For me too. I used to work with music, right? I used to be a radio host a long time ago, and now I cannot do anything. I clean my house with music. I have to write with music.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Christina was telling me, because I don't know, it was something that she had to write, and I said, play some music and write. I cannot write without music.
That's
like
funny, yeah.
music just put me in the zone.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how I do it.
That's what works. Yeah.
Yeah. And that
Okay.
moment has to do with what I feel, what I want to say, my struggle that sometimes you cannot write what you have in your mind, or you cannot paint what you want to paint. And
Yeah.
music put me in that place that I can break through, and I don't know.
Yeah, is that like now that you're saying this is true. I mean, music is like the vibration, man. I mean, just like that makes you feel like different emotions. You tap into different things, and then when you write, or when you paint, or when you clean the house, or whatever, with music, you can tap into, just put some. For me, like the other day, I need to like inspire my son to help me out with the cleaning, and he's like, I put some music and come on, let's clean. And he's like, no problem, And he's like, why do I forget to I had to put the music every single time, because if not, it's not gonna happen. He's like, no, this is so boring. But then you play, like, you start to clean the dishes, and you like taka 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 taka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important.
So what are your recent projects besides the
Mariposa?
the Mariposa, the Studio Mariposa? Because I saw something that I really liked, that I guess is not your project, but it kind of fits in the way I imagine you, because I only know you through your painting, through what you've done, through your old videos on YouTube, and this howling, right, that you have, and there's a howling in your Facebook that you all howling to the moon or something.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, if I don't know if this happened in Spain, but in the United States, in the beginning of the pandemic, people were 8 o'clock every night. People started howling out their windows just to. It was for the frontline workers and for the nurses and so forth. And I remember I heard some people doing it, and I didn't know what it was. I heard some howling downtown in Bisbee. I lived in kind of a little valley, small village. And I didn't know what it was, but then I saw something about it somewhere that, in another city, that people were howling. I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. So I did post on Facebook, hey, let's all howl tonight, at 8 o'clock, that's what people are doing. So everybody joined in, and it caught on more than I didn't start it, but somebody did, and down in but I put it on Facebook, which I think made it get
Bigger.
more people's mind. But the funny thing is that, you know, everybody stopped howling a long time ago, except for Bisbee. We still howl every single night at 8 o'clock. And for whatever reasons you want to howl, just to howl. Maybe you're sorrowful, maybe you're happy, maybe, you know, maybe you just want to talk to your neighbor in the form of a howl or connect, you know. So yeah, we here in Bisbee still howl every single night at 8 o'clock.
I love it.
Yeah, I didn't make the connection because in Spain we used to
With
clap.
the clack, clack.
So,
Yeah, people used
we
to
clap.
bang. Yeah,
Bang or clap or
Yeah.
Spanish clapping and banging.
Yeah.
right. Same thing.
Yeah, I like
Howling is kind of cute. It's kind of like it's a, I don't know, liberation moment.
Yeah, you know, it's I think I've howled for so many reasons in this, you know, 10 months, from, like I said, every kind of emotion, you know.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
all, when my mom was sick with COVID and I was really worried and I couldn't see her, to just being really happy, you know, for all the reasons that I have to be happy, and everything in between. So, so yeah, it's fun.
I like it.
You can
let's
start it
do it. I
San
can start
Francisco.
it. You know what? I'm gonna start it in my house. Like we have in my house we have a big sign that says love in the outside. I'll send you a picture, Gretchen. And then, you know, some music like reggae, like Bob Marley, One Love, da, 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 it's that song. And I was like with Bruce and Sunny, let's dance, let's put this music really loud in our, you know, balcony
Yeah,
and dance.
yeah. Did you do
Well,
it?
you Gretchen, I think I need you by my side to do that, because I'm like, Bruce and Sunny, they're like, no way. And I'm like, and you know, this is no Bisbee, you know, Bisbee. I think that Yolanda, you don't know Bisbee, because, you know, next time maybe we come to the United States, we go and visit. Bisbee is like a great town, like little town with a lot of artists, and people are like, you know, they go for many things that in other places are like, well, you're crazy. You know what I mean? Which is pretty.
But it's that way, right? Because you were saying in one of your videos that many people are scared of the borders, right? When there's a border city.
Yeah.
I live right now, I was raised in a border city, right? Like I am in front of Gibraltar, Morocco, and in the middle of the Mediterranean and Atlantic, right? Just to give you an idea, it's a border city.
Wow.
And I feel that the border cities has an edge that you cannot find in other places, right? It has an edge.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. It has some, I don't know, even more resilience and more, I wouldn't say resilience. It's more like they care, but they don't make big things out of little things, you know, like they keep going. I don't know how to say it. It's an edge that is very interesting. It's good for the soul, at least for me.
Yeah, that's amazing where you live. I think that it's really important when you live right next to a border, like Bisbee's 5 miles from the Mexican border. I think it's just really important to make all the connections you can, and to celebrate, you know, your neighbor's culture, and, you know, and art and everything that you can about it. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of our government, and especially, you know, during Trump, was very anti that, and that's really sad, to be, you know, hateful. Like, why would you be hateful? Why wouldn't you be just celebrating these cultures, these wonderful cultures that are right next to us, you know?
It
So
doesn't
I'm
make
glad.
sense. It doesn't make sense because, I mean, they don't know. It's like you know, you meet these people that are like so wonderful. You know, everybody's like very nice, warm culture, real, and then some people get like believes this narrative about I don't know, hate or superiority or whatever that is not real,
Right.
it's really
Quite the
sad.
opposite. Yeah. Quite the
Mhm.
opposite.
It's
It's
quite
a
the
very
opposite.
sad statement about anybody that should feel that way, to
Totally.
be intolerant of other people doesn't speak well of that person.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So how was your big how is, because I guess it's an ever evolving thing, um, something that completely changed who you are because of living where you live at now.
What is your question?
The question is, in what ways have you changed? In what way living where you at has transformed you?
Huh. In a lot of ways. Well, I just feel like I really just get more of a sense of anything is possible, when you can work with each other. And I think that's what really maybe resonates most with my project and how it changed me, is that, especially when we're working with each other, people on both sides of the border are communicating and working together on the same project, that you recognize that literally it's cliche, but literally together we can make anything possible. So I feel, I always felt that way, but I feel like even more so with being here right on the border, that the possibilities are endless, and that to me is very exciting. So I guess
Wow,
that's,
this is beautiful, Gretchen, because you're talking about that, and it's true. Like you say, cliche or whatever, but there's that reality that together we can do so much. And this culture of, isolation, or, this is the star and that, and it's like, like that, we don't go so many places. We go when we are together. We go when we are together, when we work together. There's Mexicans, Americans, because there's so much to share and to learn from each other and to grow together. It's like, Yolanda and I were doing these circles in with women, and it's a different way. I mean, there's many circles and whatever. I've been in many circles, but the ones that we do is because we do it. But there, it's pretty cool because there's not a, there's like everybody, we're going through stuff, we're exploring things, that Yolanda and I facilitate, but then they explore and then they move through stuff together that by themselves, it will be like so hard, but then when you put yourself in your situation, you get it out, and you see that more people have the same situation, that they're struggling or whatever. It makes it like less like important, and kind of like, this is part of being human, no? And then there's the richness of the experiences. So yeah, I love that. I love that like for you, you're experiencing it in your bones, like, together there's like, there's anything I can do, it's just like, it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And I think that, positivity, I'm somebody who, I'm not a very good protester. As much as I appreciate those that get out there and protest, it's not what I do. And just because I'm not good at it. So I always try to find a thing to be for instead of be against. So instead of, for example, with the border wall and the kids, instead of just fighting against the border wall, which I think is really important and people should do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work for me personally, just because of who I am. I'm much better at it. I'm much more efficient or, impactful if I find a way to do something that is for, like, a positive way. Like by painting the border wall with kids, it kind of negated the ugliness of the wall and transformed it into something beautiful, right? It was an ugly wall and then it became this beautiful canvas for kids. That's one way of taking a problem, and turning it into art, or turning it into something positive. So I tend to go towards things that are a positive solution, rather than a protest against a problem. So to each their own, because there is a place for everybody on that.
Totally.
That is so wonderful, because that also keeps you going, right? Because there's always a reason that you can go for something.
Yeah, there is. There's always a way to turn something, to look at it differently, to make it a positive statement.
That's great. Yeah, that's how kind of like we're working, or I'm working with my friends, that they are like, I call them in the dark side. Maybe they call me that too, but whatever. And I'm like, I see some friends also that are like, I just don't going to connect anymore. And I'm like, but they're my friends. I still want to have that connection. So how can we, you know, the bridge this, this wanted to like really like it goes into your, almost into your body, to wanted to disconnect, because it's like so against what I believe or love. And it's like, okay, how can, it's to change, like you said, you change your eyes in a way, I mean, it's just like, how can I go and make connection with something that is really, you know uh, I'm not gonna go and against like protesting. Well, yeah, I can do that, but I can totally.
Would.
But how can I be like still, you know, connected with my friends that I love?
Right.
You just like living like that connection alive.
Yeah. Well, I think that we can only really make important change, or big change, when we are connected to each other in some way, because for people that just stay home and they don't connect, or for an artist that just stays in their studio and they paint and nobody ever sees what they paint, or there's so many ways that we could just kind of block off everything in our lives. And I don't think that you get very far with that. I don't think, if you can't move somebody else to feel inspired or transformed or something too, then maybe you need to think about what you're doing so that you are, because I think that's how, back to, you mentioned a bridge. I think building bridges, in terms of how you work with the other people. And sometimes it's hard because you don't always relate to everybody, and if you really don't, then you don't have to, because there's lots of people out there that think like we do, so.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wow.
And importance, but it's an amazing contribution what you're doing, like it's an act of generosity in you giving your art a reason to see things in a more how can I say this, not because it's not only positive. I think it's also in an inspiring way, right? Because positive for me is too short, too small. Like is much more intense and important. I think more whole. That's what you do. Looking for something, looking for something to go for and not against. And I think that
And
is an
inspire
amazing
other people along the way, if you can. I think that's great. Like what you're doing right here with your podcast. Whoever is out there listening, we hope that some people are inspired.
That's one of the main purpose.
Yeah.
One of the main purposes is to bring that women that inspire us, and it's like, let's share it to the world. Share to the world your brilliance, your light. This, so more people can see it. Because for me, absolutely, I'm touched, and I enjoy so much this conversation. a bit. I keep this of like working for, that I love that.
Yeah.
Like you said, and there's people for everything, there's people that, yeah, it's not that you are negating or judging or whatever. It's just you know yourself and you know your strength, and this
Right.
is what
That's it.
I'm good at. It
That's
took you,
it.
probably like time to like be really like, or maybe no, I don't know. To me, it takes me time to be in this place of like agency. Like this is where I am, because like it's always something more to learn, in life about myself and about,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
For sure. Every day.
Every day.
Well, Gretchen,
Yes.
thank you so much
Yes.
for being with us. Anything else that you want to say as a last stroke of inspiration for all the people that are listening?
Well, I hope it wouldn't insult anybody if I were just to say, if anybody wants to donate to Studio Mariposa, as I said, it is totally volunteer. We live on the whole project is run 100% on donations. So our website is studiomariposa.org. Our PayPal is art@studiomariposa.org. Drop a few dimes if you have it, just to help us. That will help kids who are, there are so many incredible artists coming up on the other side of the border right now that I'm so excited about. I mean, their work is phenomenal. Take a look on Facebook. That's where I post, really everything that's constantly happening. So that's Studio Mariposa in Mexico there. So you can see what I'm talking about, what the kids are making. They're incredible. They're making giant leaps and bounds. There's hundreds of kids creating there every week, all the time. And it's something to behold. So I hope that your folks take a look and maybe I'll meet some of them. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy to meet you. And of course, always lovely to see you, Christina. And I look forward to when you come back to Bisbee.
Yes, me
Yeah.
too. I'm looking forward to go to the Studio Mariposa.
Absolutely. Yes, please.
Yes,
And
thank you
Yolanda, your land sounds amazing. I hope someday I would see it.
Well, you have to come over. I won't give you, well, yeah, wine, a lot of wine. I will give you a lot of wine.
Yeah, yummy
And
wine.
tequila. And if you're in my house, you will have tequila as well. But
Okay.
Tequila, we like tequila.
we like
Yeah.
tequila.
No problem, tequila, wine, whatever.
Right on.
Yes, everything.
Okay. It's not,
Maybe
come
Gretchen
in.
can bring the tequila.
I will
Okay.
go to Brisbane. I'm
Please
sure.
come to Bisbee.
Yes.
Yes, Gretchen.
Howl with us.
I want to howl with
Yeah.
you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
pleasure.
much,
Bye.
Gretchen. Bye-bye.
Mwah.
Gretchen. Mwah,
Bye-bye.
ciao, adios.
Bye.